PTV, Telebisyon ng Bayan.
Sa punto pong ito, ating balikan ang PCO ASEAN Roadshow sa Baguio City.
Well, considering that this forum is being attended by youth, mostly locals and foreign students,
Yes, Audrey and Princess, nandito tayo ngayon sa Benguet Electric Cooperative kung saan pinagpapatuloy ang PCOO Roadshow. Nandito lang sa ngayon si Communications Secretary Martin Andanar, sina Assistant Secretary Christian Ablan at sina Assistant Secretary Marie Banaag. Kasama na rin ang Director ng DFA na si Ms. Flery Damayo at sa ilang sandali na lamang ay sisimulan nila ang kanilang mga talks tungkol sa ASEAN Chairmanship, tungkol sa iba't iba pang topics gaya ng Presidential Media Security Group, pagpaprotect sa mga mamamahayag at doon sa freedom of information. As of now ay nagbibigay ng welcome remarks si Mr. Rocky Aliping ng Beneco at susundan niya ng keynote speech ni Mr. Martin Andanar. So inaasahan na mapapalapit daw ang ASEAN sa sa publiko sa pamamagitan ng ganitong mga roadshow. After nito ay magkakaroon din na roadshow sa iba't iba pang bahagi ng Pilipinas gaya ng Bacolod at Boracay. Inaasahan na mamaya lamang ay magkakaroon din after nito ng fellowship sa Philippine Information Agency. Sa ngayon, punong-puno ang Beneco Hall ng mga kabataan mula sa iba't ibang paaralan dito sa Baguio City. Sila naman yung magiging audience sa isasagawang roadshow ng PCO. Samantala, bukas ay magkakaroon naman ng paglo-launch ng ASEAN Kiosk sa SM Baguio at magkakaroon din naman ng talk si Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. In just a few minutes ay mapakinggan natin ang keynote speech ni Secretary Martin Andanar at inaasahan niya na si sentro sa ating pag-chairman ng ASEAN 2017 na nagsa-celebrate din ng 50th anniversary ngayong taon.
Thank you, Mr. Rocky. Now, to formally open the PCOO Roadshow Baguio Leg afternoon session, may we welcome Secretary Martin Andanar.
Thank you, Carl. Si Carl po ang isa sa pinakamagaling naming host sa PCOO. Maganda boses, matalino, at higit sa lahat, atinista. Mabait na atinista. Mabait na atinista. Magandang hapon po sa atin lahat. Good afternoon. Gusto ko lang po sanang batiin ang ating presidente ng Beneco, si President Rocky Aliping. Sir, thank you so much for that. Talagang nabuhayan po lahat ng dugo. No? Kasi alam naman natin na during this time of the day, inaantok-antok tayo. Lalo na dito sa Baguio na napakasarap po na inyong klima dito. Nais ko rin pong batiin ang ating direktor mula sa Department of Foreign Affairs, si Director Tata Mayo, ma'am. Si Direktor ay bumiyahe kasama po ng PCOO all the way to Baguio para maipaliwanag po sa atin ng husto ang ASEAN, kung ano po ang kahalagahan ng ASEAN sa atin lahat. Director Helen Tibaldo ng PIA, si Ma'am Helen. Nasaan ba si Ma'am Helen? Yun, talagang low profile po si Ma'am nandun sa likod. Pero dahil po kay Ma'am Helen ay maayos ang ating selebrasyon at ang ating Presidential Communications Operations Office Roadshow. Nais ko rin pong batiin ang pinuno, ang General Manager, 10 ng kanyang mga kasamahan, sa PTV4, si Dino Apolonio. Nandito ba si Dino? Is he here? Oh, mga taga PTV4, nasa na? Ayun. Say hi. Meron ba kayong napapansin sa PTV4? O, panoorin nyo. May napapansin na kayo. O, maganda na ang PTV4 ngayon. Malinaw, klaro, maganda na yung kulay. Pati, di ba, yung sabi ko nung tayo pumasok sa gobyerno, mala BBC ang ating hahabulin. Alam naman natin na napaka-ambisyoso mo naman, Secretary. Sabi ko, mangarap ka na lang. O di, pangarapin mo na yung pinakamahirap sundan, di ba? So kung papansin niyo po, medyo masenso na po ang ating PTV. At yan po ay dahil sa mga kasama natin sa PTV4. Palakpakan po natin sila. Ang ating Radyo ng Bayan na live din po tayo binobroadcast ngayon. Palakpakan po natin ating Radyo ng Bayan. Ang aking mga kasamahan sa PCOO. Nandito po si Assistant Secretary Chris Ablan. Chris, tayo ka naman para makita ka. Ayan. Isa po yung youth namin sa PCOO. Babyface. Undersecretary Joel Egco ng Task Force on Media Security. Kasama rin po natin ang ating consultant for social media during disasters, si Carlos Munda. Carlos, pakilala ka naman. Si Carlos, bata pa yan, maputi lang buhok. Talahi nila yung puti buhok. Pero bata pa yan. Sino pa ba nang mapakilala ko dito? Wala akong sa harapan eh. Ang aking basa. Alam niyo na kung sino kayo. Ang dami nila eh. Mga kabataan, salamat po at kayo'y nagbigay ng inyong konting panahon dito po sa roadshow. Ito po yung pangatlong roadshow ng PCOO para maipaliwanag natin ang mga programa ng gobyerno. Pero let me tell you one thing. Ano ba talaga ang role ng PCOO o Presidential Communications Operations Office? Bukod po sa tagapagsalita kami ng Pangulo, ang aming trabaho din po ay iparating sa publiko sa pamamagitan ng komunikasyon ang mga polisiya ng ating gobyerno. Okay? So yun po talaga ang PCOO, to be able to deliver the government policies through communication to every Filipino, far and wide, sa buong bansa at sa ibang bansa kung saan meron tayong mga OFW. Ngayon, bilang communications arm of the President, meron po tayong ilang mga plataforma na ginagamit or media platform. Nandyan po yung PTV4, nakaparood nyo po dyan. Nandyan po yung Radyo ng Bayan, na pwede nyo pakinggan. Nandyan po yung Presidential Communications Facebook page or online or yaming pcoo.gov.ph na website. At nandyan din po yung dyaryo na mula sa masa para sa masa at iba pang mga polyetos na ipinamimigay natin sa pamagitan ng Philippine Information Agency. Meron pa pong Philippine News Agency. Marami po kaming ahensya sa ilalim ng PCOO, and the role of each agency is to deliver communication to the rest of the population. So ang tawag ko po dito, on-air, broadcast, online, on-print, at on-ground. Ano yung on-ground? Ito yung, ngayon, magkasama tayo, on-ground, nag-uusap tayo. So that is the role of the PCOO. At bilang chairman ng communications ng ASEAN 2017, ay kami po ay nag-iikot sa buong Pilipinas para may paliwanag sa publiko kung ano ang PCOO, ano ang ASEAN, at ano pa yung iba't ibang programa ng ating departamento. At isinama na rin po natin dito yung earth-shaking policies na pinangunahan po ng PCOO. Ito po yung Freedom of Information. Alam niyo ba kung anong Freedom of Information? Narinig niyo na ba? Yes, so Freedom of Information, si Asek Chris Ablan po ang go-to guy. Siya po yung, meron din po tayong Task Force on Media Security. Have you heard of the Presidential Task Force on Media Security? Ito po yung AO number 1. Oh, so maraming umiiling, hindi nila alam, Joel. So, bakit pinirmahan ni Presidente ang Administrative Order number 1 creating the Presidential Task Force on Media Security? Si Joel Egco po ang magpapaliwanag niyan. At nandyan din po ang paggamit ng social media sa panahon ng sakuna, sa panahon ng disaster, sa panahon ng bagyo, sa panahon ng lindol. At ang magpapaliwanag po niyan ay si Carlos Munda. And of course, yung ASEAN, ang magpapaliwanag po ay ang ating direktor mula sa DFA na si Tata Mayo. Kaya po kami nag-iikot sa buong bansa para maramdaman nyo rin po at malaman nyo ay meron palang PCOO. Ilan ba sa inyo ang alam na merong PCOO? Taas nga kamay, before kami nagpunta dito. Konti lang, no? Konti lang nakakaalam ng PCOO. So kaya kami umiikot para sabihin sa inyo na merong Presidential Communications Office at ang trabaho namin ay kausapin ang mga kababayan natin para mas mapalapit ang gobyerno sa inyo. So yun po yung dahilan na yun. Hindi ko po patatagalin ang aking speech dito. Alam kong meron pang ibang mga speakers magsasalita. Kaya maraming salamat po at mabuhay kayong lahat dito sa Baguio City, lalo na mga kabataan.
Thank you, Secretary Andanar. Now, let's get the show started. Our first speaker will talk about the Freedom of Information Program of the government, or the Executive Order number 2. Our speaker for today is the Assistant Secretary for Policy and Legislative Affairs. We fondly call him Mr. FOI, kulang na lang kapa. Let's all welcome Assistant Secretary Christian Ablan.
Thank you, Carl. Naimbag nga malem, gagayem ken kakabsat ko ti syudad ti Baguio ken rehiyon ti Cordillera. Siak ni Chris, ket ti pamilya mi, taga Lawag mi, Ilocos Norte. So thank you very much for having us here in Baguio City. Kay Sir Rocky Aliping at ang kasama po niya sa Beneco. Maraming salamat po sa pag-host sa amin ngayong hapon. All right, so we are in a tight schedule this afternoon because there are several speakers, and so we will get straight to each subject. The way it's going to go is that per speaker, we're given around 15 to 20 minutes to talk. After that, we'll have between 5 minutes to 10 minutes for you guys to ask questions, and so that we can have some sort of engagement this afternoon. All right, so my topic for this afternoon is on the Executive Order number 2, or the FOI program of the Duterte administration. I'll just follow suit from Secretary Andanar. He was asking questions a while ago. I'll ask you questions also. Kindly raise your hand. Who amongst you here, students, have visited our website, foi.gov.ph? Can you raise your hand? None. So it's really not surprising anymore. Despite our efforts to spread information regarding the FOI program, we are learning that a lot of people, especially in the provinces, don't know about the freedom of information. We went to Zamboanga 2 weeks ago and learned that we went to Zamboanga last week and Davao 2 weeks before that, and we found out that a lot of people in the provinces don't know about FOI, an issue that many people have fought hard for the last 30 years. And so that's why we at the PCOO adopted the fourth mode of communication, which is going back to the grassroots on the ground. Like what Secretary Andanar mentioned a while ago, we're on air, we're on print, we're online, and we're with you here right now in Baguio to be on the ground so that we can have this kind of information exchange. All right, so this is the Freedom of Information program. Let me walk you through it. All right, so this is Executive Order number 2, and Executive Order number 2 was signed by the President last July 23, 2016, and it's very important to note that this is one of his first policies. It was a campaign promise, but because it's an executive order, it's only limited to the executive branch, meaning it's only applicable to departments, agencies, and offices under the executive branch. It does not include Congress. It does not include the House of Representatives. It does not include the Senate. It also does not include the judiciary or any of the constitutional commissions. So if you have questions, and it's only recommendatory to local government units. It's not mandated from them. And we hope, earlier we met with local chief executives and we asked them if they can pass ordinances on FOI in order that in local government units, you can ask information. This was back in November 25. Of course, you see the dashing gentleman on the left is my boss, Secretary Martin, handing over to Executive Secretary Medeldea the FOI manual. So I'll show you the FOI manual. This is the People's FOI manual, and this is the agency FOI manual, which was handed over by Secretary Martin to ES Medeldea a little about 2 months ago. And on the right side is Congressman Tino, the chairman of the House Committee on Public Information. Okay, you know, accessing information from government offices is nothing new. You as students have asked information from the DTI, you've asked information from your state universities and colleges, and of course these agencies are obliged to respond to you. Nothing is new. So what is new? What is new is that there is a minimum standard. In the past, without an executive order, the problem is it's different across different agencies. Some agencies will respond to you in 1 week, others in 1 month, others in 3 months, 6 months, and some agencies don't even respond to you at all. Yes, do you agree with me? If you ask information when you do research for your course, for your coursework, for your subject, sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes you have to know someone inside, whether it's your parent, it's your friend's parents, or you have a friend or tito in the LTO, LTFRB, you have to know someone. And that's why it's very important to have this executive order, because across the board, across all agencies, there is just a minimum standard of 15 working days. Now, you can access information on anything under the sun as long as the agency is in possession and custody of that information. Of course, if you ask military statistics from the DepEd, they do not have that information, and so they cannot disclose it to you. You would have to go to the DND, AFP, or PNP. All right. A lot of people say that FOI is only for the media or for researchers, teachers, journalists, bloggers, so on and so forth. And that's not true. Yes, it's for them. They're the ones who fought hard for it all these years, but it's not just for them. And I'll explain to you in the next slides that FOI is in fact for everyone. FOI is for families. In other countries, yes, other countries have implemented FOI way before us. The US implemented their Freedom of Information Act in the 1960s. The UK had their Freedom of Information Act in the early 2000s. We are 10 years late in the game. But the beauty of being 10 years late in the game is we get to learn from their mistakes and hopefully not commit them. The beauty of learning from them is that we get to adopt their best practices. And we found out that FOI is useful for families. FOI is useful for families who want to relocate or start their new families. How? Number one, FOI is used to determine on how dangerous an area is. In the US, they went to the Department of National Defense and to their national police to ask for crime statistics. Where do sexual offenders live? Where is the high crime rate? I don't want my family living in a high crime rate area. They also used FOI to determine where to bring their children to school. They asked the Department of Education, what are the statistics of the public schools in Baguio City, in Cordillera region? That's where I want to bring my daughter or my son. So FOI can be useful for FOI, and it can be used for so many things. On the screen, you can see a picture of a hospital. FOI can also be used to determine what hospitals have CT scans, what hospitals have X-rays and PET scans if you have a cancer patient in the family. That's how useful FOI can be for you and your family. FOI can also be useful for the ordinary Filipino. You know, in India, they also implemented FOI already, and the major pushers or major drivers of FOI were the poor and underprivileged. And I'll explain to you why. They used FOI to determine all the state support, all government financial support, all scholarships. Because not so different from the Philippines, in India, there are the reasons for information asymmetry may be two. Number one, lack of capacity of the government information agencies. Hindi nila kaya iparating sa tao, sa mamamayan, ang mga iba't ibang benepisyo at saka ibang uri ng suporta galing sa gobyerno. Or number two, which I think is more the case, there is cause of favoritism. You know, some agencies, hindi mo maiwasan yung mga empleyado doon, they only limit the support, the scholarships, the conditional cash transfers sa mga kakilala nila, sa mga kabarangay nila. Okay? In India, ganun din ang kanilang naging experience. And so what happened was, the ordinary people, the poor, the underprivileged, the marginalized, went to their Department of Social Welfare, they went to their DepEd and asked, ano-ano nga ba ang mga government financial support for poor and underprivileged? And the government was required to disclose that information. FOI is for ordinary people. FOI is for the poor and underprivileged because you can do with a lot of information. Last, FOI is also for government agencies. Oops. Back. Parang late ang ating clicker. It's always better just to use that na lang. All right. FOI is also for our government agencies, specifically our government employees. You know, in the Philippines, hindi mo maiwasan, it's a fact because I am living proof of it. Before I was appointed an assistant secretary, I was a division chief. Before I was a division chief, I was just a regular lawyer of the Office of the Solicitor General. I came from the rank and file. And usually, Secretary Martin, when I ask information from other agencies, they wouldn't give me the time of day unless I knew someone, unless I had the signature of the secretary, an undersecretary, an executive director. Government agencies will not give me the time of day or answer to my request. How many of you here have tried to ask for information from your Office of the Mayor, from your Department of Education, and they didn't respond to you? Are there anyone here who have actually asked? Yes, at least you have an experience there at the back, that you ask for information and they snub you. They ignore you. Well, now, with FOI, it seeks to level the playing field. It levels the playing field because, like I mentioned a while ago, it sets a standard. What's our standard? 15 working days. Regardless if you're just a student of St. Louis University or UP Baguio or any other university, or if you're a high-ranking public official, an important person, a rich business person, the government gives you the same standard, 15 working days. So FOI is a great equalizer. When you seek information, there is no more discrimination. All right, so like I mentioned, the executive order called for a People's FOI Manual. So this is the People's FOI Manual. Now, there is no just one FOI manual. There are several FOI manuals as there are several agencies. Okay, the instruction of the President is that each agency would have its own FOI manual. Why? Why the case? Why not just issue one implementing rules and regulations or IRR? The reason being is that the President respects the internal processes of agencies. You see, many agencies come in many forms and sizes. You have small agencies like the PCOO. In the PCOO, I am the PCOO decision maker. Danica on the maroon shirt there is our PCOO receiving officer. We're a small office. We can deal with FOI questions. But you have agencies so big, like the Department of Education, the AFP and the PNP. They're so big that if we have one singular IRR, it's going to be very messy. And so the President, E.S. Medaldea, respected that internal processes of these agencies. And so all of them should have an FOI manual. You can either ask for a physical copy of the FOI manual of the agency you seek to ask questions, or you can download them on our website. Our website is foi.gov.ph. Now, not all agencies have their FOI manuals there, but sooner or later we will have all of them on foi.gov.ph in the resources tab. So I just showed you the FOI manual. All right, so there are two manuals. So don't be confused. I'll explain what are the two manuals. The manual on the left is the agency FOI manual. The manual on the right is the people's manual. What you get is the people's manual because, well, you're the people, you're the stakeholders, you're the researchers, you're the askers. And so what it says is simply what's the process, where do you go to, how much are the fees, if I disagree, how do I appeal. That's in the people's manual. In the agency manual, it's the same, it's just more specific. It's the same, it's just more specific. I'll give you an example. The process flow in the people's FOI manual is very simple, from requestor to receiving officer to decision maker back to the requestor. It's very simple. In the agency FOI manual, you will notice that there are required number of days, how many should be with the receiving officer, how many days should it be with the decision maker. All right, the contents of any FOI manual is the contact details. For those of you who have tried to ask information from government agencies, I'm pretty sure a lot of you had the problem wherein pinagpapasa-pasahan kayo. Did you have that any problem? Pinagpapasa-pasahan kayo. Meron, wala? Yes, no? Pupunta ka sa Public Affairs Office, sasabihin sa'yo, Iha, ading barok, wala sa amin ang information, punta ka sa legal. Pupunta ka sa legal, pagdating dun sa legal, ay wala sa amin yung information, pumunta ka sa records office. Pupunta ka sa records office, pagpunta mo dun sasabihin ng records office, wala po sa amin yan, nasa office ni executive director. E di pa ikot-ikot. No? And you have a deadline to make. And so now, the FOI manual requires all agencies to inform you who are the receiving officers, who are the decision makers, what's their address, what's the room number, what's their email, what's their phone number. It's gonna be easy to get information. All right, so this is the FOI standard form. Question, if I don't have the standard form, and by the way, the standard form is downloadable again on foi.gov.ph. If you don't have it, does it mean that you can't file a request? No. You can file a request even if it's in a letter form as long as these three are present. Number one, your complete contact details. Your complete contact details. You have to identify yourself. The way we are trying to disclose as much information, we're trying to empower a citizen's constitutional right to information. We also have to balance state interest and the stress we're giving to our frontline agencies. So you have to identify yourself. You cannot ask anonymously because that is unfair to the agency. Number two, you have to identify the information you are asking. You cannot give it in a form of a question because you're adding problems to the receiving officer. And number three, you have to tell us what period that information you are seeking. You cannot ask for information ranging from 1900 to 2017. That is an impossible task within the 15 working days. The process flow is very easy. It's very simple. From you fill up your application form, you submit it to our receiving officer. Now, the receiving officer is most probably your public affairs staff or records office, conducts an initial evaluation. If everything is complete, submits it to the decision maker. The decision maker can be the bureau chief, the division chief, or maybe the office manager, and he decides whether or not to grant or to deny your FOI request. Whichever he decides, the decision goes back to you. All this has to happen within the 15 working days. But for complex requests, the government is allowed to extend it by 20 working days. So a total of 35 working days, okay, if the request is complex. All right, the international experience, we found out the first year, many people are asking for information. And so what do? Do we limit it to that? Do we limit it to the engagement wherein you ask questions and we try to answer? No. Why? Because we found out that people tend to ask the same question over and over again. What are the requirements for me to get into this program? And then the other person will ask, what are the requirements to get into this program? People ask the same question. And if there's no other partner to FOI, our frontliners will be so busy asking the same and answering the same questions. So, what did other countries do? They adopted proactive disclosure. Okay? Proactive disclosure is government, offices, agencies disclosing as much information as possible so that you don't need to ask them. That's why you have the transparency seal. If you look at government websites, you look for the PEARL, you click on the PEARL, and it shows you the different agency functions, who is the secretary, who are the other offices, what's the budget, what are the financial plans, so on and so forth. That's proactive disclosure. That's a way for us to help our frontline agencies. Also, last November 25, we rolled out a website, and sirang plaka na po ako, but please visit it. The website only gets better if you ask questions. It's foi.gov.ph, and you can actually browse the request. Because malay nyo, may nagtanong na. Okay? We actually received a request for the SALN of the cabinet members of President Duterte, and like 4 people asked the same question. And so you should browse the request. Malay mo, yung gusto mong tanungin, natanong na po at nasagot na rin. You can also browse agencies. Sabihin natin, your teacher wants you to research on the PNP or to the Department of Health. Then you can go straight to the agency by clicking on its logo. And you can also make an FOI request. However, the eFOI facility is not available across all agencies. Unfortunately, due to budgetary, time, and training reasons, we weren't able to bring everyone on board. Last November 25, we were able to bring on board 15 national agencies, and then this January, we included 19 more, bringing a total of 34 agencies. You can see all the agencies on the screen, and it includes the PCOO, the Department of Health, the DOJ, the DICT, the DOF, the Department of Transportation, and its attached agencies. Our vision, by the first anniversary of the rollout, we will have all 170 national government agencies. That's the plan. By next year, we will have all GOCCs. And by 2019, hopefully we can get local government units, state universities, and college on board on the eFOI. That way, if you have to do your research, you don't have to ride Victory Liner and go down to Manila and visit the DepEd. You can actually ask questions online already. All right, so just to give you a summary of what the FOI program is, it's not just asking questions. It's also doing your own research through open data. And then you see under FOI, there is standard FOI, which is for all agencies, and then you have electronic FOI, which as of today only has 34, but I assure you, as the months progress, we will continue to train agencies, and more agencies will be there, probably including the DFA, the DSWD, and the DepEd. Wala kasi sila dyan sa eFOI. But that doesn't mean you can't ask questions from them. You can ask questions from them only through paper, manual, personal request. Is that clear? Yes? Yes. All right. Now, I learned a while ago that internet connectivity here in the Cordillera region is very challenging. We actually came from another event and I actually realized how dependent I am on the internet because I was almost crying because I couldn't upload my picture on Instagram. And we learned that here in the Cordillera region, a lot of provinces, a lot of towns don't have internet. That's why, although the vision is to be completely online, we cannot forget standard paper-based FOI because in other provinces and towns, there is no internet connectivity. All right, this is my final slide because I have a few more minutes for question and answers, and this involves the exceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, nothing in this world is absolute, including information. There are exceptions and they are on the board. And they're no different before you protest and say, ay, useless lang ang FOI kasi ang daming exceptions. Before you even say that, in other countries, they have the same number of exceptions. And we have 9. The US has 9, Australia has 9, the Philippines has 9. We're no different, we're up to standards. Number 1 exception is on executive privilege. Okay? This is based on law, jurisprudence, and current rules and regulations. You cannot disclose, agencies cannot disclose information relating to the decision-making power of the president. If the DENR or the DND or the AFP submit reports to the president, you cannot ask for those reports because you endanger national security. Imagine if you ask the AFP of what their next, where will be their next mission in Mindanao, then Abu Sayyaf, the ISIS, and other armed groups will use that information to ambush our soldiers, and we don't want that to happen. Number 2, national security, defense, and international relations. We're talking about negotiations between countries, bilateral trade agreements, and it's just in the negotiation stage. You cannot ask that information because if you ask that information, nothing is final. The other party might abscond or back out of the negotiation. So those things, my friends, cannot be disclosed to the public. I hope you understand, for national security, foreign relations, and defense reasons. Number 3, law enforcement and protection of public and personal safety. I see a lot of PNP and BFP over here, and they know that there are a lot of laws that prohibit them from disclosing information. I'll give you an example. The Witness Protection Act. The Witness Protection Act is a law that says that the witnesses against crimes the informers will be protected from being disclosed. For security reasons, imagine if you're a murderer and there's a witness and you know where they live, then you will ask your murderer friend to kill that person. And so the law is there to protect the witnesses and the informants, and you cannot ask that information. And what else pa ba? Number 4, confidential information on the protection of the privacy of persons. Okay, number 4 involves the Data Privacy Act of 2012. All right? The Data Privacy Act of 2012 seeks to protect your information. How many of you here are drivers or who have driver's license? Kindly raise your hand. Okay, so you have a few of students who have driver's licenses. Sorry. Medyo naantok na ako, Sec Martin. No, this is our second road show. All right. Okay. What's my point? Okay, the point is you gave your information to the LTO, yes? You gave them your complete name, you gave them your birth date, you gave them your address, your telephone number, and you even gave them your signature. If you have a boyfriend or an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend, and nangaliwa ka, and then he wants to go after you, do you think that person can go to the LTO? Can you give me the address of this person? No, because of the Data Privacy Act. That law protects your information in possession of government agencies. So no person can go to any agency in possession of personal information and disclose that information to any person other than the actual person. Did I make sense? For example, birth records. you are the only one who can ask for your birth records from the PSA. Other people cannot ask for your birth records. Why? Because they can commit identity theft. That's what we're trying to avoid. Okay? So number 4 is for your protection. Number 5 is confidential information by reason of official capacity. If you have agencies like Beneco who submit reports or investigative data to the electric cooperatives report to a higher agency. I forgot what agency that is, but there's a national government agency that they submitted to. Yes, NEA, okay? National Electrification Administration. Okay, those reports, those documents cannot be disclosed because they're protected by reason of official capacity. Next, prejudicial premature disclosure. What does this mean? I will explain. Number 6 involves government financial institutions like the GSIS, the SSS, the Land Bank, and the BSP, okay, and the DBP. You know, if you're a member of GSIS or the SSS, you have member contributions, yes? Although you're students, your parents must be either GSIS or SSS members, yes? Do you guys know about GSIS and SSS? So you contribute money. Now, GSIS and SSS invest that money in stocks. That's how it goes, no? And that's how they're able to pay for your pension. Now, ang Pilipino kasi, lalong-lalo na ang mga Ilocano, matatalino mga yan eh. So if there was no number 6 exception, what I will do is I will go to GSIS and I will lodge an FOI request. GSIS, please tell me what companies, corporations you will be investing our money. And if there's no number 6, GSIS will have to disclose to you, oh, Mr. So-and-so, we are investing in Meralco. We are investing in Baguio Country Club. What are you going to do? The very next day, I will get as much money as I can, and I will invest in Meralco and Baguio Country Club. Yes? That's a get-rich-quick thing. And what happens if you do that across all of you, there you will have market instability. Okay? BCC will be, people will flock their stock. It's a wrong statement. Anyway, they will invest their money. They will invest their money in BCC or in Meralco, and there's going to have market stability. I'm sorry, it's very difficult to explain prejudicial, premature disclosure without being obscene. All right, let's go to number 7, records of proceedings. Number 7 involves court proceedings, including proceedings of the Inter-Country Adoption Board. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. There's just so many information bursting out of my body and so little time to share it. But anyway, court proceedings means you cannot find out about current court proceedings because those are protected by law and the Constitution. Number 8, I'm close to being finished, is banking and finance laws. You cannot disclose bank and finance information because they are protected by the Anti-Money Laundering Act, the Foreign Currency Deposit Act, and the Bank Secrecy Law. And we can go through a whole lecture on number 8. And number 9, you have other exceptions. Other exceptions include ASEAN trade agreements and attorney-client privilege between government lawyers and their clients. In any case, if that was too fast for you, you can download these 9 exceptions, including the specific law, jurisprudence, and rules and regulations on what website? What website? .ph. All right. foi.gov.ph. So the first assignment, sorry, lumalabas yung pagka-teacher ko. Hindi ba obvious na professor ako sa college? So lumalabas, your first assignment when you go home is not to log on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, but on foi.gov.ph and research on what already information is there. Having said that, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for maintaining your eyes and concentration on me for the last 15 minutes. Know that with more information, you can make better decisions. With better decisions, we will become better Filipinos. Thank you very much, and I'm now allowed to entertain your questions. And
O, di ba? Thank you, Asek Chris. You have questions for Asek Ablan? You may ask them now. Mamimigay si Kuya Joseph ng libreng t-shirt daw tsaka ballers na may mukha ni President. Kaya tanong na. Wala? Ayan o. Yes. Sige po, yung nasa dulo po muna. Yung the gentleman in white. Then next, sino yung next na tinawag?
Good afternoon po. I'm Ijesh Tison from St. Louis University. I would just like to ask about those complex information. Ano po yung mga nasa boundaries ng complex information for them to be extended in 20 days? Because some organizations might extend some requests until 20 days just because they might like to. Thank you.
All right, thanks. That's a very good question. What is a complex question? It depends according to the agency, but the rule of thumb is this. If you are asking for information that is beyond the beyond the possession of the agency, and the agency has to ask that information from another counterpart agency or another office, then that forms part of a complex question or request for information. Number two is if the request involves crunching numbers. Okay? For example, you have to have data sets. You're asking how many males and females, so you're going to the PSA, and you're asking how many males and females were born from 1987 to 2017 in Baguio. That's a complex question because they have to crunch numbers. So those types of things. Either the information is not with them, it's with another office within their organization, and they have to ask. Or number two, it involves trying to crunch some numbers, crunch some data, which require them to compute these things and prepare them before they can give it to you. A simple request would be, give me the list of officials for the Department of Trade and Industry here in Baguio. They should have that information. That's a simple request there.
Thank you po.
Thank you. Ayan, nanalo ka ng t-shirt and baller. Congratulations. Yes?
Kate, can you go to Miss over at the back?
Lalapitan ka na lang po.
I really hope you're asking questions because out of your curiosity, not because there's the t-shirt.
No,
But it's all
absolutely
right.
not. So you can ask agencies and they have to get back to you at a certain amount of time.
Yes.
What happens then? What can you do as a citizen if they don't get back to you in that particular amount of days?
That's a good question. Thank you very much. I missed this particular information. Okay, let me gather my thoughts as I try to. Okay. All right. So what happens if it goes beyond 15 working days or 35 working days and the agency does not respond? You can file an appeal. You have to file an appeal within 15 calendar days. You have to file an appeal using the appeals mechanism. And in case it's found out that the responsible officer was remiss with his or her duty, then that officer will be given a penalty, an admin liability. First offense is reprimand. Second offense is suspension between 1 day to 30 days. And third offense is removal from the office. And that's why we still want Congress to pass an FOI law because the punishment is just administrative. It's not yet criminal. In the bill in the House and in the Senate, the penalty is criminal. The version of Senator Poe and Congressman Tino imposes a penalty of 2 years imprisonment if the or anyone accountable does not provide you the information. So there's a penalty. Okay.
Any more questions? Last. Isa na lang. Ayaw niyo na ng t-shirt? Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm from PSA, and actually we're part of the FOI.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, but actually I haven't browsed yet yung foi.gov.ph because we're so busy analyzing, interpreting, writing articles about the data results. So may I ask if you browse the website, there are links to the agencies that are part of FOI network automatically, or you just have to go one by one in their websites?
Okay, thanks. I'll try to decipher that question. Okay, here you go. Is there a link for each agency in the FOI website? The way the website is designed is that it's like you are talking to a person from PSA already. And everyone tracking an FOI request can actually download or print the conversation between the requestor and the receiving officer or decision maker of that agency. So if the agency and many of PSA's responses in the FOI website lead the requestor to the link in the PSA website. So in the conversation, for example, they're asking for birth records, ma'am, and then later on the receiving officer or decision maker will respond, this data is already available on the PSA website, here is the link, and then they can click it. So the receiving officer or decision maker can either put in the hyperlink if the information is already available in the website, or sometimes upload a PDF file that can be downloaded later on. Okay, so thank you very much. That's my time. The next speaker will be introduced by Carl.
Thank you, Ase Chris. Before we continue, we will be having a special information number with the special performance of our special guest. So let's all welcome Happy Yumi. Oh, the audience, tayo rin tayo. Doon rin tayo sa nating steps. Come on. A round of applause for Secretary Andanar and his PCOO officials. Ayos.
Piece of cake.
At nagpapatuloy pa rin po ang programa ng PCO Roadshow dito sa Benguet Electric Cooperative, dito pa rin sa Baguio City. Napakinggan na po natin na magsalita sina Secretary Martin Andanar at sina Assistant Secretary Christian Ablan. Pansamantala muna po natin puputulin ang ating coverage ng PCOO ASEAN Roadshow at magbabalik po tayo mamayang alas 5 ng hapon para sa iba pang aktibidad ng nasabing roadshow. Ako po si Jervis Manahan ng PTV News.
Social media, including the citizenry in governance. So to talk about this, let us all